now. Yeah, I was expecting Laura and then Scott, and I'm like, start to talk, and I forget to record. So yeah, I was just saying, making your own opportunities is so important, and learning that, with other artists, you can have a group show. You can, write a proposal to show someplace. You can, um, everybody has different talents. Some people are better writers, some people are better social media people, whatever. We all work together, we all help each other, and that's how we raise the boat. And I think, especially in these really difficult, political times, I mean, we really do need each other, and making art is really important. It's vital, because I think we're demonstrating, freedom of expression, and imagining the world without art would be really sad. So I think there's all these reasons to, keep doing it, even though it does seem really like an uphill battle. But yeah, what is it that you need to do to make yourself feel good? Like for me, I'm now working on some opportunities for 2026 because I've got a couple coming up here, but then I'm not sure what I'm going to do in 2026. So now I'm on the lookout for some big industrial spaces. If anybody knows of any, that's what I want. Um, any place in the area, like I'm okay about coming back to Boston. Um, I know that it's not about the space, it's about what you do with the space that counts. You can have a show in a bathroom and make it exciting by,
So
doing what.
you're looking for a big industrial space to have a show?
Yep, I am. I am. I got a couple, in mind. Um, but yeah, that's the next thing that I want to do. And for me, myself, I've realized that is what I really like to do. I like to make these installations, and I want to see them. And I want to just make them in my studio and put them away. So how do I do that? If I have to have an open studio in my own damn studio, I will, but I don't let it stop me that, it's that I don't have a commercial gallery in Boston. Um, and I just think it's very empowering.
There's a lot of a lot of vacant office space. And there's a lot of vacant storefront. Um,
There
I'm
are,
thinking about a pop-up thing or, I'm sure I think you've talked about doing that before.
yeah, that is tricky. I know in Arlington, the business owners, that rather the building owners often don't live around, and they don't really care, and they don't want to go in. They don't want to have the pain in the neck process
It's
of having.
liability. It always comes down to liability. But if you
Yeah,
can work through that, if you're willing to pay for,
yeah.
I don't know,
Oh yeah, yeah.
but
Right. And some places are a lot much better, like, looking in Lowell or Lawrence or something like that, you're going to find maybe better deals. You have to really work to get people to go see the show. But, all of that has to be worked out. But you're right. There are opportunities.
I'm wondering. I'm wondering if I'm trying to think of a specific example, and I can't right now, but I know there's an awful lot of vacant office space. And so what if like as a way to get people into the space to see what, they have available to, partner with an artist and to do a show and do an event and lots of lights and splash and, to get people in.
Yeah,
Uh,
people have tried that. Yeah, yeah, people have tried
I
that.
don't know. I'm just thinking.
Yeah, no, it's a good, I mean, I think it's a good idea. So yeah, there are those things out there. And again, it's like you can't be isolated in your studio just hoping that somebody is going to discover you, or that, these opportunities are just going to land in your lap. They're not. That's why, even though we don't like to do this, we need to go and socialize. you know, to always think about, how can you help the other person? So um, I have a meeting on Monday with a young woman who does video. She does glitch video, which is she makes these sort of really abstract um, videos that are all, sort of created by uh, like, glitches in the screen, you know what I mean? Like the jumping of the lines and so they end up being, quite exuberant and kind of crazy and fun to look at. But she's written to me on Instagram and said, "Oh, I really love your work. This is really exciting. It's so fun." And I know her a little bit. And I wrote to her finally and I said, "This is not so nice that you write to me. I really appreciate it. And did you ever think about collaborating? Would you think about projecting some of your glitch videos onto a white surface like the sculptures that I make?" And she got very excited about that idea. So we're going to get together. And that's great. That makes me feel really happy and energized as well. So I have kind of learned what I need to do to keep up, to keep growing and to keep, reaching out, to not just kind of fall back into, um, it's easy to fall back the other way. So just as an example. But great, Nikki, what about you? What are your goals? Where would you like to be in a year with your work?
In a year, I would really like to be actively showing work. But there's a couple things that I'd like to sort of
Yeah.
process. One is just a mini rant. I don't know whether you all have read Artists on Art. It was a book that was out back when I was in the 70s and whatever. And it was a compilation of writings by artists about art, well-known names. Ad Reinhardt actually was fairly eloquent. Hans Hofmann wrote a lot about art. But there were a lot of people. I remember Judy Chicago was particularly horrible at writing. I mean, and a lot of the writing was from a writing point of view. I'm a great appreciator of good writing.
Uh-huh.
I
Me
mean, it
too.
was abysmal. And I remembered even back then thinking, I mean, it was kind of interesting because it was, how a particular type of mind writes. Um, but I've seen some sites where people just write paragraphs and paragraphs about their work, and it's like if you have to write that
Right.
much about your work, then why are you doing art? I mean, I don't know. I just have a little bugaboo about it. The other thing that I want to just talk about is I'm this is something that I feel like I really need to explore because it's something I recognize in a friend of mine who's a ceramicist, and I think she has the potential to be really, really good. But she gets waylaid because she produces these stupid little things that she thinks will sell, you know?
Mm,
And she doesn't need to make money, but she has this thing about how she
mm,
has to sell. And like she'll do some gorgeous work and then spend a whole bunch of time doing these crappy things. And, for some stupid locals and I don't want to fall into that trap. I really, really want to be aware of why I'm doing what I'm doing. Unfortunately, I really, really, really need to make money from anything I spend my time on. And so, there is that. But um I don't want to be painting for a market. I want my work to be, it's like it's how I think.
yeah.
It's how I think. It's like a scientist in a laboratory, they're putting different things together and they're making discoveries about the nature of the universe. And I feel that, using that's how I feel when I'm painting. It's how I think and how I make discoveries and make sense of my universe. And so I want to keep doing that, but and I think that the having the structure of doing a body of work so that the power of limits. So, you set, okay, they're going to be a suite of X number of pieces this big, and it's going to be on this theme, or it's going to be, some kind of a defined palette or something. And that helps a lot for sure. And within that, it's freed me up, in fact.
Mhm.
But anyway, all I'm kind of saying here is a reminder to myself to be mindful
Yeah.
of making sure that I'm staying true to myself and true to my vision, why I'm in the studio, um, and that, if it works for other people, and it kind of has, I mean, so far, maybe some things wouldn't, but if it does, that's great. But I really, really have to stay true to myself first and foremost.
Yeah.
Um, and just trust the universe that, you know, money will come or it'll all work out or something. Whatever.
Yes. Well, I mean, there you go with the catch-22 about the art career. You know, money and art making are not good neighbors. They're, really not. Yeah. And some people are able to do, their heart's desire and sell that, and that is great. That's like the best if you can do that. But yeah, I agree with you. And I think, there's this, yeah, people do that for different reasons, and who knows why they do that.
I
Why,
mean, I'm a marketer. I mean, and and that's fine. And I don't mind like
yeah,
doing that with my work.
right,
But I just want to make sure that I don't cross a line, that I
exactly.
don't sell out. I just want to
Yeah.
be really aware of that. One other thing too that I wanted to, and again, I don't know where this would go, is I sort of made a note when we were talking earlier about talking about, so as a realtor.
Is that
There
what
were
you
a lot of young
asked?
kids running around out there. So one of like the value added things that I talk about is the
Mhm.
fact that I have all this experience. I know a whole lot about houses because I've done this, 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 and this, and I've owned a house for how many years and all this sort of stuff. And so I use my age
Yeah,
as a plus. So I
yeah.
was thinking, might, um, how might, how might I, use that to like, if I'm going to write about my work, how might I use that in that regard?
I mean, it's not a bad thing if that is part of what you're making your work about. But yeah, so you're looking for, but just to go back to your goals though, Nikki, just to make sure that we get there, you'd like to be showing your work. All right, so
Yeah.
how are we going to do that? So the first step is make the work.
Right.
Second step is photograph the work. Third
And
step
get a
is
website. You can't even imagine the
get a
web.
website.
I have like three steps. I have a partially completed website on Weebly. I have one on Homestead, and I think I was starting one somewhere else. My daughter was going to help me, and we got so far, and then she got bogged down, and she's like, I can't even. And then so many of the template sites are stores, and I'm like, do I want to do that now, or do I want to start with more of a portfolio thing that could be something that could turn into a store? And so, like, you get into it, and you have to make all these decisions. And then it's like, I don't want to do a whole thing and then find I can't turn it into a
Yeah.
store if I want to do that.
No, no,
And
no, 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 no. Yeah. Keep it clean. Keep it clean and simplified. And I really do think if you go to those guys at Dazed and Confucius,
oh, yes, I saw that. Yes, I'm going to do that. The other
yeah,
question I have is, I know a lot of galleries they don't want you to be selling
don't worry
yourself.
about that. Don't worry about that.
Don't worry
No,
about that.
don't worry. No,
Okay.
and you're not even selling, so don't even get there.
All right. All right. So
Okay.
it's okay to put prices,
Don't put
wholesale
prices on
prices.
your work. Don't put your prices on your website. Don't do that.
Okay.
No,
Okay. Okay.
no, no. I, yeah, I think people go back and forth on that. I think it's tacky. I think, if somebody's really interested, they'll contact you.
Oh,
And, you don't want to, if you are looking for gallery representation, you don't want, that to be in your way. But okay, so what couple of galleries in the Boston area do you have your eyes set on?
I don't have anything yet. I need to get down to Soho
yeah,
and
I would say
and like look at co-ops and
look at the co-ops and look at Lanoue. That's a Lanoue. But yeah, so you do have some work to do, Nikki. But yeah, don't let yourself get bogged down in that. And honestly, it's better to just go pay somebody to do the website for you and get it done, because
yep,
it just isn't worth nickel and diming. By the time you get there, you will have already spent some money. So
yep,
yeah,
yep.
I think they can do something for you, like $600, and they can also just advise you. You can just talk to them, and they'll. From what I hear from another person, Betty, who's using them, Pam is Pam. Pam has used Dazed and Confucius,
Okay,
and
I will.
she
I
said
will
they
check.
were great. They're very reasonable, and if you just want to, if you just say, "Look, I don't have a lot of money. What can you do for me?" They can work with you. So I would suggest that you just do that because, yeah, that's a necessity. That's what you need to do to make your dream realized.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So we have a plan. Betty, did you have a goal? Did you say what your goal? I don't think we heard your goal.
No, I'd really like to show. I mean,
Okay. Well,
and
same thing.
and make
There's your
money, but I
website.
think
Yeah,
what?
you got a website. Good.
So
Check that. You're gonna get yourself organized. And
yeah,
then, the cooperatives were of interest, and that's a great place to start.
yeah,
Beyond that, like I've been saying, to be honest with everybody here, it is really hard to get a commercial gallery because, for all the above reasons, not impossible, but it's difficult. And so it does mean that you need to be crafty about thinking about how to do it. Yeah. And
Can I say,
please,
I
yeah.
remember back in the day, everybody said when I was in college, everybody said you can't start here to get into a gallery. You got to go to New York, and you have to get into a gallery in New York. It's a lot easier because there's bazillions of galleries. And then once you've done that, then you can come back here.
Hmm.
Is that still relevant?
No, because everything has changed so much. Nikki, the importance of a gallery has really declined. So
Okay.
many young people are doing, their own networking and sales because you can if you're on social media. There, people are doing very creative things, and you have to do, and you have to. So, no, that's done. That's over.
Okay. All
So,
right.
you know, and let's be honest, age is an issue. We do, because it's not so much the age, it's that, like I was saying to some art chat group, maybe it was yours, Betty. Um, the art world is like the fashion world. It's the hippest, youngest
yeah,
thing. What's new this semester? What's new this season? And a lot of it is run like that, so it makes it very hard because we haven't just graduated from art school. To our credit, we haven't, and we have other things to show for it, but you are going to be up against that. To be completely honest with you, we are, I am, all of us will always face that unless you have just gone to grad school. Then you so it's a different ballgame, so you have to play. You have to be a little bit more savvy about what makes sense for you. Where do you want to show? And yeah, like honestly, um, it's going to take a lot of time.
Right.
Yeah, and that's why I really push. Um, the things that are important are to be doing to either say, okay, I'm going for the market of interior design, and and people who have modest size homes, they're always going to be looking for medium priced original work, and then you go with that, and then you probably will have some, a better chance because there are galleries that really do well with that. There are galleries and there are spaces that do that. Then the other end, which is sort of more challenging work, for somebody like myself, it is really hard. That's why I joined Boston Sculptors Gallery because I had freedom to show what I wanted to show. But then in that case, there's nobody sitting there with a vested interest in selling your work because it's a co-op, and it's always going to be like the co-ops. So either you go with a commercial gallery who needs to sell work to pay the bills, or you go with a cooperative, or you go the independent route, which is my choice, which is to gain recognition and make a sort of more intellectual case for the work that you do. So yeah, it's not an easy thing. So, but it can be done, and it's just like, what are some of the galleries around Boston? Like I think of the Powers Gallery, that's in
Yeah, it's
just
in,
outside of Concord, Acton, and they, that's the market where it's beautiful, well-crafted work that's modestly sized, and they also do art consulting. That's a place that I would look at. I would look at Jane Deering Gallery. They're in Gloucester, and I think she's got this a similar sort of market. Another person to look at is
Jane who?
Jane, Jane, Deering, Deering. And another good place to look at would be what's her name? Christine. They're based in Duxbury, I think, and let's see. Anyway, I can always send you that. But at any rate, so yeah, so they're out there. And it may not be in Boston proper, it may be in the burbs. So it just means, going to these places, checking them out and seeing if you could visualize your work there, and then doing the diligence of getting to know them and sending an email that's pleasant, but not asking too much of them for the first time, and directing them to your website. So, it's a process, and you grow with it, grow to it, and there you go. But if you do it step by step, if you break it down into little pieces, it can be done. So go step by step and make small goals for yourself, like each week. What is it that you can do toward that goal of having a place to show your work? Betty, you're getting there. Nikki, you'll be there once you get a website started.
It'll happen.
Or in photographs of yours. I mean, I imagine you have a bunch of work. You just need some photographs. Is that correct?
Yeah, actually, if you Google, I do have a site that has some amount of stuff up. Let me see if this is working. Search.
Oh God.
It's under Nikki Turner Artist.
Okay. Oh, is this you here? Art Cloud?
You know what I think that is? Yeah, no, that was I had a piece in a gallery and they put this together.
Oh, okay.
And yeah. No, unfortunately, it's not me. So, see,
No.
I'm not even coming up, so I don't even know where I am.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, you'll work on that. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
so for our next class, more of same, sort of getting, it's having this goal that's, that you can identify as clearly as you can, and then breaking it down into the little pieces that you need, the steps that you need to do to get there, and it will happen if you do that.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Oh, I have a question for you, Adria. Your work, is it weatherproof?
Some of it is.
Some of it is?
Yeah.
You've had it outside.
I have had some of it outside. It depends on what, yeah. I have some work that's metal and painted in acrylic and can be outside. I also have some things that some sculptures made of styrofoam that can stand outside. Like,
How would you, where I'm going with this is, one of the things that I've wanted to do is have my work available for staging, you know, $2 million house, $3 million, have my work available for staging. It would be available to be rented at some very reasonable cost. The
yeah,
idea being, if I have this piece that looks fabulous over the mantelpiece, maybe they'll say, gee, I want that too. They do it with staging furniture and stuff a lot.
yeah,
But why not with a sculpture? Why not if you had a place that had like the perfect place for an outdoor sculpture? And oh, and my thing would be that, yeah, you can, I'll bring the work and help put it up and all this stuff and blah, for a pretty minimal fee, but you have to advertise me. There has to be some, a
mm,
tent or something, with
yeah.
information,
I
all
think
this sort.
my work is quirky that way. I'm not, it can be outside, but it's not quite ready for prime time in that way. I,
Okay.
yeah, but thank you. I
Okay.
appreciate it. I'm open to any suggestions, you guys. All right, so I think we're done for tonight, but great to see everybody. Hang in there. You're all doing what you need to be doing. Just, we'll move forward. See you guys next week.
Good night. Thank
Bye.
you.
Good night.
Good night, Adrian.